Is your career built on a house of sand? It looks solid, steady paycheck, respectable title, predictable tasks. But what happens when the tide comes in? Automation, outsourcing, and AI are erasing entire job descriptions overnight. The world isn't waiting for you to catch up. The shocking truth, as Seth Godin lays out in Linchpin, Are You Indispensable?, is that the very qualities you were taught to value, obedience, efficiency, playing by the rules, are exactly what make you replaceable. The system wasn't designed to reward innovation, it was built to produce cogs. Interchangeable, compliant, forgettable. Do your work, collect your paycheck, and don't ask questions. But here's the part they never told you. That system is crumbling. Think about it. The most successful people aren't just the hardest workers. They're the ones who refuse to be ordinary. The people whose names you remember, whose impact reshapes industries, who make themselves impossible to ignore. They aren't waiting for instructions. They aren't playing it safe. They are linchpins, individuals so valuable, so irreplaceable, that their absence would leave a gaping hole. Look around. Employees are being replaced by algorithms. Freelancers are undercutting full-time staff. Businesses are shedding jobs faster than they create them. But amid this chaos, a select few rise. The ones who think like artists, not assembly line workers. The ones who ship ideas, not just complete tasks. The ones who create value instead of waiting for someone to assign them work. The difference between success and irrelevance isn't talent. It isn't luck. It's a mindset shift so radical that it shatters everything you thought you knew about work, security, and value. This isn't about working harder, it's about making yourself untouchable. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what it takes to become indispensable. The kind of person no company, no client, no industry can afford to lose. Because the future belongs to linchpins, and everyone else is just waiting to be replaced. Imagine a massive assembly line stretching endlessly into the horizon. Each worker stands at their station, performing the same repetitive task over and over, never questioning, never deviating. This was the blueprint for success in the industrial age. Keep your head down, follow instructions, don't make waves. In return, a stable job, a pension, a sense of security. That world no longer exists. The unspoken deal between employers and employees, loyalty in exchange for stability, has been shattered. Companies are no longer rewarding obedience, they're eliminating it. You don't need a dedicated long-term worker when an algorithm can execute the same process in milliseconds. You don't need an entire department when you can outsource to freelancers willing to do the work faster and cheaper. The factory model of employment is dead. And yet, millions still cling to the illusion that being good at their job is enough, that meeting expectations guarantees protection, that playing by the rules will lead to promotions, raises, longevity. It won't, because the rules have changed. Look at any industry under disruption. Traditional retail giants falling to direct-to-consumer brands, skilled laborers replaced by automation, full-time professionals underbid by remote workers from across the globe. The competition isn't just the person next to you, it's software, it's decentralized workforces, it's an entirely new economy built on speed, creativity, and relentless adaptation. So the question isn't whether your job is at risk, the question is, what are you doing that AI can't? What are you bringing to the table that isn't just effort, but irreplaceable insight? Because if all you offer is compliance, efficiency, and reliability, you are walking on a trapdoor, and someone is about to pull the lever. The people thriving today are not the ones who wait for instructions. They're the ones who rewrite the playbook. The connectors, the creatives, the problem solvers. The ones who understand that job security isn't about fitting in. It's about standing out. We're moving into a world where being average is more dangerous than being unemployed. Because when you're unemployed, at least you know the game you're playing. When you're average, you think you're safe, right up until the moment you're not. This isn't a warning, it's an invitation. Because if the old system is breaking, that means a new one is being built. And in this new world, the winners aren't the rule followers, they're the linchpins. Picture a massive, complex machine, gears turning, belts whirring, everything running smoothly. Now, imagine one tiny pin being removed. Not the biggest piece, not the most expensive, just a single small component. And yet without it, the entire system grinds to a halt. That's a linchpin. The person who holds everything together, not because of their job title, but because of the unique value they bring. Linchpins aren't just employees. They aren't just professionals. They are forces. The ones who don't just fill a role, but redefine it. The ones who make things happen. The ones who, if they walked away tomorrow, would leave behind an unfillable gap. Now let's be clear. A linchpin isn't the hardest worker in the office. It's not the person who logs the most hours, follows the rules perfectly, or grinds away quietly in the background. That's the mistake most people make. They think loyalty, effort, and endurance will make them indispensable. But in reality, the hardest worker in the factory was still just another cog in the machine, until machines became cheaper, faster, and more reliable. A linchpin is different. They don't wait for instructions. They don't need permission. They solve problems before anyone realizes they exist. They bring ideas instead of just effort. They take risks, push boundaries, and inject creativity into everything they do. They refuse to be ordinary. Look at the names that shaped industries, not because they were assigned the job, but because they took the job. The inventors, the artists, the revolutionaries, the thinkers who connected dots no one else could see. They weren't waiting to be chosen. They chose themselves. But here's the catch. Becoming a linchpin means embracing discomfort. It means putting yourself on the line. It means standing up, speaking out, and sometimes breaking the rules. And that's exactly why most people don't do it. Because it's easier to blend in. It's safer to comply. It's comfortable to be replaceable. And yet, the moment you make yourself indispensable, the world shifts. You gain leverage. You gain freedom. You stop being at the mercy of the system and start becoming the system. And in a world where most people are desperately trying to keep their jobs, linchpins are the ones who create them. So ask yourself, if you disappeared tomorrow, what would fall apart? If the answer is nothing, then you've got a decision to make. Because in this new world, the only real security comes from being impossible to ignore. Indispensability isn't about luck. It's not a talent you're born with or a privilege reserved for the elite. It's a choice, a set of behaviors, a way of thinking, a refusal to blend into the background. Linchpins share certain traits that make them untouchable in their fields. And once you adopt these traits, you stop competing for jobs. You start making yourself necessary. Creativity and innovation. Most people solve the problems they're given. Linchpins solve problems no one else even sees. They don't just complete tasks, they change the way things are done. They take risks, experiment, and push beyond the obvious. They don't fear failure because they know failure is the price of discovery. Think about the game changers in history, those who introduced something new instead of just improving what already existed. They weren't following instructions, they were inventing the instructions. Emotional labor linchpins do work that matters. Not just the tasks in their job description, but the human work, the work that requires effort, generosity, and presence. They build relationships, create meaning, and invest in people. Emotional labor is why some people light up a room the moment they walk in, while others go unnoticed. It's the difference between a cashier who mechanically scans your items and one who makes you feel seen. It's the leader who inspires rather than just manages, risk-taking and overcoming fear. Fear is the greatest enemy of indispensability. The primitive part of your brain, the lizard brain, wants you to stay safe, to fit in, to avoid standing out. But every linchpin learns to silence that voice. They take calculated risks. They speak up when something isn't working. They bet on themselves when others hesitate. They understand that the safest place is actually the most dangerous, because safety breeds mediocrity, and mediocrity leads to irrelevance. Making art linchpins don't just work, they create. Their work has a signature, a personal touch, something uniquely theirs. It doesn't matter if they're a coder, a writer, an engineer, or a chef, they bring artistry to what they do. This is why some people are unforgettable, while others fade into the background. Linchpins pour a piece of themselves into their work. They don't just do tasks, they create experiences, solutions, and movements. Networking and connection success isn't just about what you know, it's about who knows you. But linchpins don't network like desperate job seekers. They build real connections, they help people, they create value, they make introductions, offer insights, and become the person others want to work with. They don't collect contacts. They build tribes. And in a world where opportunities often come from word of mouth, being connected is a superpower. The discipline of shipping. You know what's common? People with great ideas. You know what's rare? People who finish them. Linchpins ship. They don't wait for the perfect moment, the perfect conditions, or the perfect idea. They create, refine, and put their work into the world. They don't talk about what they could do, they do it. They understand that perfection is just an excuse for procrastination. They'd rather be seen as flawed but prolific than as someone who never delivers. No map. Most people are waiting for instructions. Linchpins create their own roadmap. They don't need someone to tell them what to do next. They figure it out. This is why they're irreplaceable. They don't just execute tasks, they define the tasks. They don't just follow strategies, they invent them. In a world that rewards obedience with obsolescence, the ones who thrive are those who aren't afraid to walk an unknown path. Knowing what makes a linchpin is one thing. Becoming one, that's the real challenge. Most people will hear this and nod along, maybe even feel inspired, but then they'll go back to their routine, waiting for permission, following the safe path, hoping someone else will recognize their value. That's not you. That's not why you're here. If you want to be indispensable, you have to act. Right now. Not someday. Not when conditions are perfect. Here's your roadmap. Follow it. And you won't just keep your job in the AI era. You'll be the one writing the rules. Start by asking yourself a brutal question. If I disappeared tomorrow, what would people struggle to replace? If the answer is not much, you have work to do. But that's the good news, because it means you have an opportunity to carve out something that's yours. Think about what you do that isn't just a checkbox on a job description. Do you bring a unique perspective? Do you create solutions others miss? Do you make people feel something when they interact with you? If you can't answer these questions yet, start looking for ways to stand out. You don't need to be the best. You just need to be different in a way that matters. Linchpins don't wait for the perfect moment to act. They create, they release, they refine in public. If you have an idea, a skill, a project, stop sitting on it. Put it into the world. Let people see it. If you write, publish something today. If you're an artist, put your work where others can see it. If you have an idea at work, bring it up, even if it's not fully formed. The world rewards people who execute, not people who overthink. Linchpins don't fear criticism, because criticism means they're doing something. The only people who never get criticized are the ones who never take risks. Most people do the bare minimum. They complete tasks, check boxes, and clock out. That's why they're easy to replace. Linchpins do more, not by working longer hours, but by putting themselves into their work. They connect, they empathize, they make people feel heard, seen, and understood. And that's a superpower. Whatever you do, bring more you into it. If you're in sales, make every customer feel like they're the only one that matters. If you're in marketing, tell stories that resonate, not just facts that inform. If you're a leader, inspire instead of managing. Machines can do tasks, but only humans can make other humans care. The people who win in the new economy aren't necessarily the most skilled. They're the ones with the strongest networks. They have people who want to work with them, who recommend them, who remember them. Stop treating networking like a numbers game. It's not about collecting LinkedIn connections or business cards. It's about genuine relationships. Help people without expecting anything in return. Connect others who should know each other. Be the person people trust to get things done. Opportunities don't come from job listings, they come from people. The moment you step out of your comfort zone, resistance will hit. That's the lizard brain screaming at you to retreat. It will tell you to wait, to stay safe, to avoid risk. Ignore it. Linchpins feel fear, but they don't obey it. They recognize it for what it is, a sign they're moving in the right direction. If you're never uncomfortable, you're not growing. The fastest way to become a linchpin: do something today that scares you. Speak up in a meeting. Launch that project. Ask for that opportunity. Fear means you're alive. Fear means you're becoming something new. If you're waiting for someone to tell you exactly what to do to succeed, you've already lost. The most valuable people don't follow maps. They draw them. Stop asking what's allowed. Stop waiting for permission. Stop assuming there's a right way to do something. If you see a problem, solve it. If there's no job that fits you, create one. If you don't have the skills yet, learn them fast. The future isn't waiting for you to catch up. It belongs to those who decide now that they're going to lead. Most people will hear this and keep waiting, waiting for a sign, waiting for a better time, waiting to feel ready. But linchpins, they move, they take risks, push limits, and make themselves essential. So which are you? Another replaceable cog in the system, or the one the system can't afford to lose?